Hello and welcome. Welcome to Monday Mini Masterclass. And today I'm talking about self-love and the importance of loving yourself and how it influences the way others treat you in your lives, and the way that you love yourself is influencing, if you're a mom, the way that your children are seeing how they should love themselves. I'm going to hit you with some real gems. If you have some paper, take some notes, or come back later if you're listening live on your phone and can't take notes right now, because I'm going to give you some list so that you can start loving yourself more. I'm Donna Nelson, your host. I'm a holistic empowerment coach, and I'm here to help you make your life better by working on yourself from the inside out. So if you have any questions, please be sure to post them below, anything about this or anything that you need. All right, so as I said, the reason that I'm talking about self-care and showing the importance of self-love to your kids and your spouse and to yourself and all the others in your life is because what's going on with us and the way that we see ourselves and the way that we're experiencing life is a reflection that others see within us. And to no fault necessarily, but the way that we see ourselves is a way of giving others permission to treat us in that way. It's kind of like it's a law. You want to love and appreciate and treat yourself and set an expectation of how you want others to treat you. And sometimes really this is how we get into these conflicts, and maybe not necessarily like a confrontational thing, but an internal conflict, that we have these expectations of others supporting our emotional needs or supporting us physically or doing, things for us. But yet they don't see that we need that because we're not projecting that kind of energy. So let me follow my notes because I'll be all over the place. So particularly if you're a mom, I was talking to my friend Barb about this, and she actually inspired this live as we were talking about it. We're always sharing stories about our kids. They're kind of close in age and they're very similar. And Barb and I are very similar in, how we, feel like we just have to take care of everyone, really, for that matter. But our kids, particularly, making sure they have everything that they need, in spite of taking care of ourselves the right way. And so as we were chatting, it was a great inspiration to talk about this as a way of celebrating Valentine's Day, so that we can show others that we can love ourselves. And because we love ourselves, we have more love available to love others in the way that they need love for themselves too. So what I have seen for most of us, and we see this just, in our families or among our friends or our coworkers, you don't have to do a darn survey to figure this stuff out. What I've seen in most ladies is that we love ourselves conditionally. And we believe that others love us conditionally too. And as a result of that, we love others conditionally. And others treat us conditionally. And so it becomes this vicious cycle of conditioned. You do this, I'll do that. Well, if you had done this, I would have done that. Well, if you didn't do this, I wouldn't feel this way. And it just becomes this chronic craziness of flared up situations, because one doesn't love themselves. And so, here some of the things that I've seen with us ladies is that, I'll love myself when I lose weight, or I know he'll love me more when I lose weight, or when I, keep the house clean, then I'll be more loved and accepted, or, when I reach this goal, then I'll be more lovable and acceptable to myself. And, when I make more money, when I'm able to contribute to the family, I'll feel worthy and I'll feel loved, and then I'll be loved more. When I put out more sex, clearly that will be a demonstration that I should deserve more love. And only if I were a better cook, and only if I had more time for my kids, would I feel like I deserve to love myself. And all of these ifs and whens are so conditional and so energetically draining that when you're putting conditions on yourself, ifs and whens, you're never going to love yourself fully doing that. And you're not going to have the clarity to love yourself. And so why is it important that the people in your life see you love yourself? Well, it's kind of like what I said earlier, because I know I get ahead of myself. And that is because the way you think and feel about yourself projects onto others. And they see it, they feel it, and then it's that feedback loop that I was saying, right? And then they feed back to you what you're putting out. And so sometimes this is a hard thing to accept, right? Because depending on what our state of mind is, what our beliefs are already, it's real easy to get into this kind of blaming thing, right? Like, but I would love them more, or I wouldn't act that way, or I would do this if they, right? And so the way it's going to work best for you to save your own sanity and to protect your own emotions and to be more effective mentally and to not have this draining energy is to just work on you and let everything else take care of itself. And what I want to assure you is that when you take care of you, everything else does take care of itself. Because we start to see things differently, and we're not as we don't have this level of expectancy of others to protect us or to take care of us or to do for us, whatever it is. I don't know what your love language is, so whatever it is that you need for love, that we have that expectation that others should fill that void for us, and then we'll be okay. And so you want to take care of your own emotional needs and be able to love and support yourself despite what others do. And so you want to get out of that. Well, you want to be in a feedback loop, right? It's always a feedback loop. It doesn't matter whether you're loving yourself or not, right? There's always the feedback loop. So the more you love yourself, the more that projects love out, and you're going to get more love back. So it's just a law. Trust me. Try it out for a week. See how it goes. Okay. The other piece of this that I wanted to talk about, which was inspired by my conversation with Barb, was about our kids, as I had said. And so if you're a mom, here's why this is important. And because my son is almost 22 and Barb's daughter is older, we've seen this. So if you have small kids, you can recover. I don't know if we'll recover or not. So the important thing is that when you're not loving yourself and you're not demonstrating self-love and self-care and having that feedback loop so that you're demonstrating it to them so they can see what it looks like, we're teaching them the same thing. And this is, of course, goes across all areas of our life, right? Like if you eat a crappy, unhealthy diet, well, your kids are going to eat a crappy, unhealthy diet, right? If you do unhealthy behaviors in any other area, there's a great chance they're going to do that because it's the environment that they grew up with and that's what they know. Whatever it is you're doing in any area of your life, if you're a workaholic and all you ever do is work and you make no time for your family and there's no real balance in your life, your kids are going to grow up thinking that's the right thing to do. So the same thing with the way that we all want to be loved. We want our kids to be loved. And of course, most of us, right, we're doing what we do in the way that we do in our lives, in the way that we're living our life, because we do love our kids and we want what's good for them or what's best for them. And we're doing the best we can based on what we know. So what I'm going to share with you today is one more thing you should know that you can shift in your life in a super easy way, costing you no money and no more time. It's just about changing your mind about how you're going to see and treat yourself. The reason, again, this is important for our kids is because they're picking up what we're putting down. If we don't show that we love ourselves and that we know how to decompress every day and we can show them how to manage our emotions in a healthy way, work through confrontation in a healthy way, and do things to our body in a healthy way, we're teaching them how to love themselves as well, because these are all self-love behaviors. And I'm going to go through, I have a list of 10 things that are showing that you love yourself. And then I'm going to give you 4 things that you can do that take less than 1 minute each day to start you on in just tiny steps, starting to demonstrate loving yourself. And it's really just about changing your beliefs and your attitudes about it. The 4 things. Okay. I wanted to just expand on that and why this whole self-care, self-love thing is super, super important for not only us, right, as adults, but also for our younger generations coming up, because we're in a time in society that is extremely, extremely stressful. Have you noticed? It's very chaotic. There's just so much data input. We're just overstimulated. It's hard to say no because things are coming at us in all directions, in all areas of our life. And most of our kids were born with, some kind of an electronic device in their hand. So they're constantly getting this input into their brain. And if they don't if they don't learn through our example of how to wind down, calm their mind down, manage their emotions, find quiet time for themselves, then they're just going to be a hot mess, right? They're just going to have depression or anxiety and in a lot of inattentiveness. And it's going to carry through and contribute to a lot of other challenges across all areas of their life. So it's super important that we are protective of our bodies, our minds, and our energy. And we need to be protective in this and allow for that by allowing for that downtime for our mind and bodies to heal and rest, to have that time for renewal. The number one cause for disease today is actually stress. And stress impacts our bodies in so many ways. When we take care of ourselves by allowing ourselves some time for self-care and showing that we love ourselves, then our stress is reduced. And these are the things that we need to be able to teach our kids. But if we don't do it, we don't know how to show them to do it other than telling them to go calm down and go to their room or go watch TV or go outside or whatever. It's not really an effective coping mechanism because as they grow up and they get frustrated at work, they can't go to their room or go watch TV or just go outside, right? We need to have more strategies and tools for them to be more resilient, to self-regulate. So, and we don't want them to bottle up their emotions like many of us have learned, right? To just suck it up and stuff our emotions down and plow through. And we're finding now that that's extremely unhealthy. That stress on our body, it's clogging up our energy system, creating a toxic chemical soup, if you will, in our body because of all the stress hormones in a chronic up-leveled state, which makes us sick and creates, and if you think about it, like if you think life is hard enough already, right? Like you got enough stress and you're trying to manage all of these things. By not loving yourself and taking time for self-care and getting your stress under control, you're only contributing to more problems down the road. And it could be challenges in relationships because you don't have those things in place. It definitely is going to be affecting your finances because you're going to be sick, and then it's going to be affecting your family because somebody's going to have to take care of you, or they're not going to have someone to take care of you. Like if you get sick and you're down for 2 weeks and you have kids or a job that relies on you, that's detrimental, right? And so all of these things can be prevented with some of the stuff I'm going to telling you about right now. What does loving yourself look like? Here's my list of 10 things, right? Some may apply, some may not. So here's the first one. You're showing that you love yourself when you take pride in the way that you look. Now, I don't mean like, so right now, right, I have on my nice blouse, which I did all of this on purpose, right? I have my lipstick on. got my nails painted, right? Which they are usually anyway. But taking care, demonstrating that you have pride in the way that you look is a demonstration to others that you care about yourself. In other words, you shouldn't be in the same pair of sweatpants 3 days in a row, hanging out at home in your dirty socks, right? Or because I work at home a lot, right? Like I'm perfectly fine sitting around all day in my pajamas. However, you can't do this kind of thing day in and day out. One is definitely going to affect your own personal energy because you're projecting. When you go and look in the mirror, you see you haven't done hair today. You're still wearing the same thing you had on yesterday or whatever, right? So have some pride about taking care of yourself so that, and again, it doesn't mean you have to get up and put on makeup. It doesn't mean you have to paint your nails. It means that you're just taking good care of yourself. All right. So that's number one. The second thing is you're making private, quiet time just for you sometime before midnight. And here's why I say sometime before midnight. I say that kind of facetiously because yes, it's important and I don't care if it's really at midnight. But the part of the point of this was you're demonstrating that when you're tired, you rest. And it's okay for you to sit down and have a cup of tea all by yourself, watching your favorite program or whatever, because you care about yourself and you deserve to rest. And that's okay. Here's the fourth thing. Hang out with friends just for fun. I have to tell you, this is such a weak point for me. And so this year, one of my growth goals is to spend more time with my friends. So, and doing it just for fun, not like hanging out with people that are my business friends and then we're doing business too, and I can say it was social. Doing that kind of thing, again, it's just very renewing. It's downtime. It's showing others that you love yourself and you're having a good time, which is what you really need to do anyway. Okay, here's the fifth thing. I think it's the fifth thing. Treat yourself to something special occasionally. So again, this isn't really about, needing to have money necessarily, because there were times when I couldn't do like something that was financially necessarily for myself, right? But all the things I think I have here are doing things that include money. And that's okay because sometimes you just need to do that for yourself because you love yourself and you deserve it. It's just that simple. So it could be something as simple as buying a new pair of shoes or a new outfit. It could be buying a necklace to go with some outfit that you want to wear out, or a nice pair of earrings, or whatever it is, a bottle of wine, a spa treatment, just going to lunch by yourself. Woo! I love that. I've got no problem just going, one, because I love to people watch, so I'm perfectly fine going out, having lunch all by myself and just like being in my own head or just watching other people, right? So if that's something that would really serve you, then take 10 or 15 bucks and just go sit at a cute little cafe or whatever your favorite buffet is or whatever and have lunch by yourself. It could even be something way bigger, right? Something that you've never done for yourself. And I see this with women all the time. I don't want to say it drives me crazy. It's just like I wish there was a way to like penetrate, where money is not an issue yet. They won't do anything over the top for themselves, right? Like actually buy a new car. I know there's all kinds of reasons, all kinds of financial experts that give you all kinds of damn advice out why not to buy the new car, buy the new used car or whatever. And I've done that. What I'm talking about is your value. When you're right, you're buying a used car and you're making an excuse about it's money or it's not practical to buy a new car because it loses X amount of its value as soon as you drive off of the lot or whatever. I challenge you that most of the time that's bullshit, and that's really about you and how you see your own worth. So if you want a new car and you can afford a new car, go buy the damn car. So why? Because you love yourself and you deserve it. Instead of always, having someone else's leftovers, right? Okay, get off on that. 6th point. I think it's 6. Letting others serve you instead of always being the one serving. So here's what I have seen. I know a mom that does this, and I don't get it. Like, I really don't get it. It's been conditioning, though, and it's also a reflection of not loving herself. Everyone else sits down for dinner, for lunch, for breakfast, doesn't matter with the meal. Everyone gets served, and the mom never sits down to eat with the family. She will eat at the counter, inhaling her food, eat before everyone else eats, or eat after everyone else eats. That is not an expression of I deserve to be loved. So if you're doing that crap, stop it and sit down with everyone. Even if you have people that can't take care of themselves, right? Maybe you're taking care of an elderly family member that really can't get up and they can't serve themselves, or maybe you have to help them feed. I had a son with a disability who could not feed himself, right? He couldn't reach for his own food, right? I had to help him with all of that, right? We sat down and had dinner together, though, right? And I'm not talking about just in that. Like, that to me is a super obvious demonstration of not loving oneself, right? The other thing, though, that I'm speaking about is don't be afraid to ask someone could you get me some water? Maybe you're sitting down and you don't feel like getting up, right? As opposed to someone always asking you to be the one, could you get me? Or allow someone else to fold the laundry instead of it being your task all the time, right? Or asking someone else to, on their way home, stop and grab something from the store instead of doing without or having to run out yourself, right? So allow others to serve you. Those are just a couple of really small ways. I'm sure you could think of something perfect that applies to your life that you would love others to do for you. Okay, here's the next one on what it looks like when you're loving yourself. Saying no. It is one of my favorite words, I have to admit, because I love saying no to things that I just don't want to do, things that just aren't aligning with who I am, or not in my budget, or not who I want to spend my time with, or whatever. It could be anything, any kind of thing, right? Learn to say no to things that are not in your best interest, right? So make sure it's loving you and it's serving you in some way if you're going to do it. And I don't mean like in a selfish way, right? Like everything is about you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that so many of us women overextend our schedules, over-obligate ourselves because we feel obligated. We feel guilty if we don't say no. And we have a challenge speaking up about what we want and afraid that we're going to hurt other people's feelings. Just practicing no in small ways will start building up your repertoire of no's, right? Your tolerance of saying, oh, nothing bad happened when I said no the last 4 times. So let me try saying no on this bigger thing, right? And it could just be someone saying, hey, could you come pick me up? No, I'm already in my jammies. I'm already chilled. Find somebody else, right? Or whatever it is. So practice saying no and setting boundaries for you. If you need any help on that, don't be afraid to post something below so I can help you with it. And then the 10th thing, the last thing that I made notes of, and I'm sure there's a million more things, right, that you could be doing to show that you love yourself. You show love to others without condition. So it's kind of like how we started this thing, right? It's almost like it's coming back around. So when you love yourself without condition, it's super easy to love others without condition. And here's what I mean by that. You don't want to do the no, I love you buts. Like, that's a condition, right? Like, nobody likes the buts. Like, cut the but out of your vocabulary. Because as soon as you say but, that means there's an exception to whatever it is that you're saying, and it already feels icky, right? As soon as somebody says, oh, that sounds really good, but I go, ugh. Do you do that? I hate buts. There's lots of words that you can replace but with that still means moving forward instead of retracting, right? So, and the other condition is, I could love you more if. I would love you more if. I'd love you if you did this for me. I'd love you if that. So no ifs and buts, right? When we're talking about loving someone conditionally, there's no ifs and buts. It just is. You're just accepting as is. All right. Oh, I know I skipped one. And then the last one is this is a big one, right? And it really ties into the one that I just told you, which is you have no expectations. You have no expectations of others because you love yourself, which means that all your needs are already met. So you don't have to expect anything from anyone else, right? So you don't expect someone else to do something for you or fulfill an emotion because maybe you feel lonely or unappreciated or I don't know what else is there. So as you're loving yourself and you're accepting yourself fully, you have no expectations from anyone else. It's beautiful. So here are some things you can do to get started. These are 4 things that I want you to do every day to start demonstrating to yourself that you love yourself. And as you do these things routinely, you will start noticing that you feel differently and you see things differently, and other people will see you differently and treat you differently. All right, so here's the 4 things. Number 1 is tell yourself something good about yourself as soon as you get up in the morning. It could be absolutely anything. It could be, you're a winner. I'm a winner just for getting out of bed on time. I'm a winner for starting the day. It could be anything. You know the good things that you believe about yourself that are good about you that you could tell yourself as soon as you get out of bed. Telling yourself something positive about yourself is going to start this trajectory of recognizing more good things about yourself so that you love yourself more. Here's the second thing. Replace your negative self-judgments with positive ones, with thoughts that are actually serving your highest good. So as soon as you say something negative about yourself or that kind of thought pops in your mind, like the yes but thing, right? You replace it with something positive. Third thing is forgive yourself for where you fell short each day. This one is a real big one, right? So we all know none of us are perfect. And we're all going to fall short somewhere every day, right? Like maybe you lost your temper at your kids or your spouse, or you said something sarcastic to a coworker that later you felt real jerky about. Maybe you cut somebody off in traffic, or you just felt guilty because you didn't let somebody in front of you in the line, or right? There's so many things that kind of weigh on us to make us feel bad about ourselves that we can forgive ourselves for every day. So as we forgive ourselves for these things, it's kind of releasing those negative emotions around them. I knew I forgot some because as I was saying that, I was like, where was the thing about processing the emotions? Okay, so let me go back to how the heck did I miss those things? Showing yourself that you love, because I don't want you to forget these things. So one of the other things, because this was one of the most important ones, right? About loving yourself is processing your emotions in a healthy way. Here's kind of a simple, some words you could write down, right? To remember, how do I process my emotions in a healthy way? One is acknowledging them. If you're angry, acknowledge it. I'm angry. There's nothing wrong with being mad, right? There's something wrong with staying mad, but there's nothing wrong with getting mad, right? We're emotions. We're entitled to how we feel. What you do with it is something different. And allow the feeling. And what I mean by allowing is we're not suppressing and ignoring the feeling. We're not stuffing it down and saying, well, let me just go smoke a cigarette or go get some chocolate, or, I'll get on the phone and call somebody real quick and, just pretend it didn't happen, or just go on about our day or whatever, right? You want to allow it. Sit with it for a moment. See how it is to you. So you're assessing it. That's the third piece to it. You're assessing it. What's really going on here? Why did this really upset me? What's going on with me? You're showing love to yourself when is by eating healthy, by taking care of your body and nourishing it with the right foods of energy to feed your body. You then have the energy and you have the resilience because your body has the right kinds of nourishment to do what needs to get done through the day and not lose your mind or your patience in the process. When we eat junk or we eat foods that don't have the energy that our body needs, it affects our brain, it affects our nervous system. Well, the brain is part of the nervous system. It affects all our chemistry of our body, and we just don't have the energy to then tolerate certain things, right? So very important to eat healthy. And when you're eating healthy, you're demonstrating that to those around you as a way of, I care about myself and I want others to treat me in the same way. Okay, so let me go back to the 4 things. I'm going to cover them quickly again. So some of the things that you can do to get started loving yourself that takes less than 1 minute a day is tell yourself something good about yourself as soon as you get out of bed in the morning or as soon as you open your eyes in the morning. That'll motivate you to get out of bed. The second thing is replace your negative self-judgments with positive statements that serve your highest good. And the third thing is forgive yourself for where you fell short each day. Here's the last one. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself out loud. It's way more effective when you say it out loud instead of looking at yourself and you're hearing, you're imagining it, saying it in your head. I want you to say, I love you deeply and I accept you. When you look in the mirror and say to yourself that you love yourself and that you appreciate yourself, that you accept yourself, keep it short and sweet because we got to keep moving, right? The day is busy, but you need to start working on loving yourself more. These are less than 1 minute a day to do these simple little things to start loving yourself.